Yeah, sketch the graph of the line. That means you need to graph something on the coordinate plane. Okay? We learned about 3 different types of linear equations, 3 different forms. Tell me one form. Standard form. What is the equation for standard form? What's the standard form equation? If you can't tell me this, you've got a lot of studying to do. Come on. Standard form. Yeah, Elise. Perfect. What about another one? What's another form of equations we learned? Point slope. What is the point slope equation?
Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x.
And last one? Yeah, slope intercept. What is slope intercept? Good. Perfect. So looking at this equation right here, number 1, what form is that in? What form is number 1 in?
Standard.
How do you know it's standard? Yeah, it has the x and the y on the same side of the equal sign. Good. So that's standard form. Does anyone remember how we graph from standard form?
I do. Isn't it what like if you're trying to find y when x equals 0?
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to find the x and the y intercepts. To find the y-intercept, we need to plug in 0 for x. For the x-intercept, what do we need to do? Yeah, 0 gets plugged in for y. So we'll do the y-intercept first. I'm plugging 0 in for my x. So my equation becomes 5 times 0 plus 2y equals 8. What's 5 times 0?
0.
So this term kind of just goes away, doesn't it?
Yes.
So now I'm left with 2y equals 8. How do I solve for y there? Why do I divide by 2? Yep. This means 2 times y. The opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. So I divide both sides by 2. So what does y equal? 4. Perfect. So my point, the y-intercept, is 0, right? That was my x. 0, 4. 0 on the x. I don't go left or right at all. I just go up to the 4. So now I have 1 point on my line. Now I'm going to plug in 0 for y to find my x-intercept. So that means that I rewrite my equation, but instead of y, I'm writing 0. So I've got 5x plus 2 times 0 equals 8. What is 2 times 0?
0.
So this term goes away. So 5x then is going to equal 8. So how do I solve for x? Divide by what? Yeah, so 5s cancel out. And yeah, 8/5 is 1.6. 1.6 is like in between 1 and 2 somewhere. So I'm going to put a little point right there. And again, when you're graphing a line, you just need 2 points. Connect the points. You've got your line. You've got full credit on that paper. Yeah, that's it. That's not too bad, is it?
Yes.
You think you can do that tomorrow?
No.
It's going to help that you have the notes written down. If you come up tomorrow and you ask me for help on this problem and you have nothing written down on your paper from today, I'm not going to help you. Seriously, I did that last week. Someone was taking the quiz and I asked to see their notes. They had no notes, so I said, sorry, you're out of luck. I'm not helping if you're not doing the work. This is like, I'm teaching you. That's what I'm doing right now. I need you to do the work. That's your end of the deal. I shouldn't be working harder than you guys are. Number 2, what form is that in? Yeah, it's just standard again. Yeah, exactly. So this is standard form again, so we're going to get another chance to practice. Standard form. What do I do to graph from standard form? What did I do in my last problem? Yeah, I have to find my x and my y intercepts. If I find my y-intercept, how do I do that? Yeah, plug in 0 for x. How do I find my x-intercept? Yeah, y equals 0. I plug in 0 for y. So if I plug in 0 for x into this equation, what does the equation look like? Perfect. What's 0 minus y?
Can't do that.
What's 0 minus 4? What's 0 minus 3? What's 0 minus 2? So what's 0 minus y? Negative y. So then negative y equals negative 2. What happens with something like that? Negative y equals negative 2? Huh? Yes, that's it. So positive y equals 2. Positive y equals 2.
It's the opposite of what it is.
Do you want me to explain why that is? So negative y, what's like the invisible number in front of the y? Yeah, it's negative 1, right? So that means negative 1 times y. How do I undo multiplying by negative 1? Divide by negative 1. So I divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1. So I end up with y equals negative 2 divided by negative 1, which is 2.
Okay, thank you.
So y equals 2. So that's my y-intercept. What's the ordered pair of my y-intercept? 0, 2. 0, 2. So I go 0, I don't go left or right, I just go up. There's my y-intercept, halfway there. My x-intercept, I'm plugging in 0 for y. 0 for y. So what does my equation look like? X minus 0 equals negative 2. What's x minus 0?
No?
Yeah, just x. Just x. 0 minus x would be negative x, but x minus 0 is just x. Zero minus 3 is negative 3. 3 minus 0 is just positive 3. Right?
Opposite the numbers.
That's like related to the commutative property.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, but the commutative property doesn't work in subtraction.
Oh,
So,
yeah, that's
right, because 3 plus 0 is the same thing as 0 plus 3. They both equal 3. But 0 minus 3 does not equal 3 minus 0.
Yeah. Okay.
Commutative property only works in addition and multiplication, not subtraction or division. Okay, so x minus 0 we said is x. So now that's easy. X equals negative 2. So what is the ordered pair of my x-intercept? -2, 0. Right, I plugged in 0 for y. So -2, 0, that's right here. And then again, I have 2 points. I just connect those points together, and I have a line. Standard graphing from standard form. Can you give me like thumbs up, sideways, or down? Okay. Okay, I'll take it. Yeah. If you need more help on this, come in during tutoring, come in during lunch. Slope-intercept form equation of each line. We need to write slope-intercept form equation of each line. What's the slope-intercept form equation? Y equals mx plus b. And what like 2 things do we need to know in order to write our slope-intercept equation? Yeah, the slope and the y-intercept, right? Slope and y-intercept. So let's look at these graphs and figure out our slope and figure out our y-intercept. How do I find out a slope from a graph? Huh? Yeah, pick 2 points, and then we figure out rise over run. So what I did is I just went up 1 over 1. You might have chosen, I don't know, a different point, and it might be up 3 over 3, up 4 over 4, but any of those, 3 over 3, 1 over 1, they all equal what? 1. So that's my slope. My slope is 1. What is my y-intercept? It's also 1, right? It's right here. It's just where that line crosses the y-axis. Y-intercept is 1. So that means that b is 1. I plug in 1 for b, and I plug in 1 for m. So someone tell me, what is my equation? Perfect. 1x plus 1. What's another way to write 1x? Yeah, just x. So I could also write this, y equals x plus 1. Both of those answers are acceptable. This should be really simple and straightforward for you guys. Y-intercept is very clear to see. You should all know how to find slope from a graph like this. Draw your little triangle. Then you just plug in the slope for m, y-intercept for b. Should be very straightforward. Can we do the number 4? What's my slope and what's my y-intercept? Yeah, y-intercept is 3. It's right here. What's the slope? 1 over 2. That sounds good to me, right? If I put 2 points on the line, to go between them, I'd have to go up 1 over 1. So my rise over run is 1 over 2. Somebody else tell me, what's my equation? What are you missing, Elise?
X. I always forget the X.
Don't forget the x tomorrow. Y equals 1/2 x plus 3, right? Are we okay on that? Writing an equation in slope-intercept form when you're given a graph. Feel okay or not okay? Sort of okay? Do you have questions about it? Questions? Questions? Okay. Numbers 5 and 6 are even simpler than that, because I literally just tell you what the slope is and what the y-intercept is. So still writing an equation in slope-intercept form, that's y equals mx plus b, where m is my slope and b is my y-intercept. So someone give me the equation for number 5. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Dylan, can you tell me number 6? What's my equation? Got slope of 2, y-intercept -5. What's my equation?
The y-intercept is b, right?
Yep.
So it's -2x plus -5 equals what? Or y equals?
Yeah, I think it's a positive 2 on your paper, isn't it? Yeah. So just y equals 2x. And you said plus -5. That's also acceptable. But you can also just write it like this. Instead of plus -5, you can just say -5. Okay? We okay on that? You know.
Not that expensive. In the slightest.
Questions on those? Okay. Flip over the paper. Okay, write the slope-intercept form equation again of each of these lines. Slope-intercept form is good. What form is this in? Number 7. What? Yeah, this is standard form. Does anyone remember how we go from standard form to slope-intercept form? Yes, isolate the y. Isolate y. So I'm going to get the y all by itself. What is standing in the way of y being by itself? The 15x and what else? Yeah, that -4, that -4, right. So what do I need to get rid of first? That 15x. How do I get rid of a positive 15x? Subtract 15x. So on the left side of my equal sign, those 15x's cancel. And I've got -4y equals. Can I combine these two things together? Why not? They are not like terms, so I just leave it like this, 32 minus 15x. What's my next step to get y all by itself? Yes, why are we dividing? Why do we divide? Yes, because this means -4 times y. To undo multiplying by -4, I need to divide by -4. What happens to my -4s here? Canceled. So I've got y equals, that's good because that's what I need. I need y isolated. And then what's 32 divided by -4? And then 15 over 4 doesn't simplify. But when I have a -15 over a -4, what happens? Yeah, it's just a positive, so plus 15 over 4x. And is that slope-intercept form? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's it. Okay, so again, my steps. When I want to go from standard form to slope-intercept form, you need to isolate the y. Get the y all by itself. Your first step is going to be adding or subtracting whatever that x term is, right? And then the next step is to divide. Next step is to divide. How about number 8? What form is this equation in? That's point slope form. We did this in the beginning of class today. How do we go from point slope form to slope intercept form? Good. Distribute, that's a first step. I distribute that 1/5 to both things inside the parentheses. So my left side of the equal sign is going to stay the same for now, y minus 2, and that equals 1/5 times x. What's 1/5 times x? Yeah, 1/5 x. And then what's 1/5 times 5? Yeah, 1. So minus 1. Okay, so I distributed, that's my first step. We distribute the slope. Then what do I do? Because it's really close to y-intercept, but not quite there, right? This side looks good. I've got something x and then minus 1. That's fine. What do I have to do to this side? Yeah, I got to get rid of this -2. How do I get rid of -2? You add 2. Add 2 to both sides. So our next step would always just be adding or subtracting. Those 2's cancel out, and I've got y equals 1/5 x. And then what's -1 plus 2? Just 1, so plus 1. There's my answer. We okay? Okay. You're going to be okay. Why would it be 1? So I added 2 to both sides, right? I add that 2 to this -1 because those are like terms. Okay. Questions? Okay. These ones, number 9 through 20, are for those of you who still need more help and more work on solving equations. Most of you who need more work on solving equations have talked to me about it, have come to tutoring. You should know who you are. I'm not going to go over these right now. There's not going to be any questions on the test that look like that. But if you need more help on those, you need to do those on your own, or with a friend, or with a parent, or, yep, or at tutoring, or at lunch, or with PhotoMath, or with YouTube, or there's like a million bajillion options to help you with this. You need to do the work to find that help, whether that means coming in before school, lunch, after school, or using every resource you have. That needs to be your priority. If you want to pass the class, you have to be able to solve equations. End of story. Okay? Can we go to the next page though, so I can go over some more problems with you? Okay, number 1, consider this linear equation. And then it asks us to draw the graph of the equation. What form is this in? Slope-intercept, right? I know 2 things from my slope-intercept equation. I know my slope, and I know my y-intercept. What's my slope of this line? What? -2/3. What's my y-intercept? 4. So then I just go to 4 on my y-axis, and then -2/3 means I go down 2 over 3. Down 2 over 3. Down 2 is just down to here. Over 3 is over to here. Down 2 over 3. You'll also just be able to go, like if you want to count the lines, you can do that too. But if you'll notice, the units are counting by 2's. Does that make sense? Yeah, so down 2 over 3. So between the 2 and the 4.
Okay, I counted all the first.
Okay.
Is it okay if you count the lines and just,
Yep, that also works.
Oh, thank you.
And you just need 2 lines, connect the lines, put little arrowheads on either end, and you've got full credit on that problem. Part B is going to be extra credit. There's going to be another question like that that's for extra credit. I'll tell you one thing. So if you plug in this point, 15, -6, into the equation, y equals -2/3 x plus 4. If you can plug this point in, x and y, into this equation, and the equation is true, then the point is on the line. Okay. That's all I'll tell you for that. Number 2, a local restaurant offers a build-your-own salad where you pay a fixed price for the base and an additional fee for each topping. Tanisha orders a medium salad with cucumbers, tomatoes, onions, and cheese and pays $12.25. Dylan orders a medium salad with cucumbers and tomatoes for $9.25. How much is each additional topping? Dylan, did you enjoy your salad? How many toppings did Dylan get on his salad? So 2 toppings cost how much? $9.25. And Tanisha had how many toppings? Huh? Count again. 4. 4 toppings cost how much? $12.25. So to find the cost per topping, we need to look at like the change in price compared to the change in toppings. So what's the change in price? What's the difference in the prices? What's the difference between $12.25 and $9.25? Good, that's 3. And what's the difference between the number of toppings? 2, right? Just 4 minus 2 gives us 2. So 3 halves, that's what it's, 3 halves. But have you ever seen something cost 3 halves? No. What's 3 halves as a decimal? Yeah, 150, 1.5. So it's 150 per topping. Last one. Let's try and finish this up. Lindsay is a United Airlines frequent flyer and currently has 432 some thousand miles on her account. She starts a new job where she commutes between Washington, D.C. and Detroit. This flight is a non-stop flight with a flight distance of 405 miles one way. How many of these one-way flights does she need to reach 500,000? How are we going to figure it out?
The difference between.
Yeah. So what is the difference between how many miles she needs and how many miles she currently has? How do I find that? Yeah, you subtract, right? 500,000 minus 432, 487, which gives us what? No. Yeah, what is it? There you go. And then what do we do with that number? Divide it by 405. Good. Which gives us what? Can you go on 0.7 of a flight?
Yes.
So 167 is the better answer. We could also set that up as a linear equation, y equals mx plus b. My rate would be this 405. Hold on one second. My starting value is this 432,487. And I just set that equal to 500,000. And then solve for x, which is really just what we just did. So those packets, you can take those home and work on them. And if you have questions about the remaining problems, we can talk about them at the beginning of class tomorrow. If you don't want to take the packet with you, you can turn it into the inbox and I can hold on to it for you. But you can use that packet on your test. If you're missing any notes, go home and look at Google Classroom. Okay? Nope, I don't need you to turn it in. Okay? All right, bye you guys. Have a good day. See you tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, thank you.